Repairing a wooden chair with homemade wood clamps and raw native woods. William Hovey Smith, 2023. This is Hovey Smith, the Backyard Sportsman. Today we're going to repair a split-bottomed wooden chair that I'll show to you momentarily. And to do that, we're actually going to make a tool. And this is going to be a clamp to put on the chair's bottom and squeeze it together. And I have some salvaged wood. Now this one has a very interesting carpenter bee hole in it that's absolutely plumb straight. 7 inches worth. Now how that bee can eat actually, an absolutely straight hole 7 inches long, I do not know. That's interesting. And we also have a piece of wild cherry, which we're going to use, along with some all thread with wing nuts on it, so we can tighten up and clamp the seat after we glue it. This is the chair we're going to work on. As you can see, it's split not in one, but in 2 places. And also has one of the rounds in the back that is broken off at the bottom and detached from the top. So we're also going to work on these. But first, we're going to have to cut our wood and get it in more nearly workable condition. First, to build the clamps, and secondly, to actually make a piece that I am going to screw into the flat bottom of the underside of the chair to further reinforce it. Now this chair is approximately 20 years old, and what split out was not the wood, but the glue bonds that held it, because I had some rather heavy people sit in it. The first piece of wood we're going to cut has this rather large drying crack in it, so obviously we'll want to remove that. Now one reason I'm cutting it in this direction and using it in this piece of wood is that the clamp will go here, and so we'll put compression perpendicular to the grain of the wood rather than parallel to it, and that will keep it from chipping out so badly. Now we have something that we can use for our clamps already. Okay. Screw these up a bit, and I think we'll have something going. Well, we have our pieces of wood here. And now the task is to drill 3/8 inch holes. Give you people better hints about what this wood is. Let me show you how it drills. change yet? We can now start to assemble our tool here, and this honking big wing nut here. Reverse. Same on the other side. Voila. And so, our tool is done. Before we actually put the clamp on the chair, it's going to require us to do an attitude adjustment. That is actually get the components more nearly in line. And so I'm going to have to mix up the glue and start putting some things together. I've got some epoxy mixed up, and we're going to now start applying that to the furniture. Well, we have our clamps installed. It's not a perfect job. It's certainly better than it was. It's a little bit forward, and there is a crack that can be seen on that right-hand crack where that main support is, and there doesn't seem to be too much I can do about that at this stage. But it is certainly in better shape than it was. It may not be perfect looking, but the idea is to return it to functionality. And so far as my clamps are concerned, yeah, those worked out just fine. I'm going to cut a slat out of this piece of wild cherry so that I can have something to actually screw into the bottom and reinforce those joints. I've cut off most of the bark and made what's more or less at least something a little flatter and a little more nearly square, so I can have something to start working with. That I can at least guide a little smoother along the saw. Just about getting through with this cut. I would not call that straight, but it's far better than it was. I've cut and sanded this so that I have at least a bit of flat here, so I can come off my fence and do a parallel, and also did the same here. So this will keep a right angle and be more nearly even when I finish the work. So now you can place it like this and actually cut a parallel slab. Now if you do something like this, don't be so hasty to cut off pieces like this, because this is what you hold on to. And this enables you to control the work when you have it under a sander or a saw. Well, I've cut a slat, and it is thinnest. This is about what I want, and it's thicker on this end. And now I'm going to trim it square and proceed to dress it down to thickness. Now I've got my slat more nearly done. Thicker on this side, thinner on this end. So I'm going to take a little bit about off here, but first I'm going to smooth this surface so I can have a smooth guide. Now that piece of cherry is going to be screwed and glued to the bottom of the oak chair underneath, in about that position as reinforcing. But that will be in a couple of days after that glue has had a chance to thoroughly dry. We'll now go through our assortment of wood screws there and see what we have, if any, that will actually repair two chairs. That will go through our backing plates that I've already cut, and then into enough of that wood to hold with the assistance of glue.